So we are beings of energy. We are energy beings, and all the energy comes as light from the sun. So we are light beings also. And not only are we light beings, but we are visible light beings. If you look at the whole energy spectrum, now, before I go there, energy is light and energy is also vibration. Okay? So if you look at the entire light spectrum, the visible light spectrum within the entire energy spectrum is a small sliver. It's very small. And the visible light spectrum, which we exist in, which is the form of light that we are, is red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. That's why each one of those colors is representative of each one of our energy centers in the body. Red is your root chakra, orange, sensation, yellow, power, green, love, and so on. Okay, so blue, indigo, violet. Violet is the highest chakra within the body. Okay, so you need now, whilst the body can sustain energy, it needs energy to live. So if you do not feed yourself food, you will die. And then once the body can no longer sustain energy, the body dies. Okay, so that's when old age happens. The body can no longer sustain energy, can sustain the vibration, so it dies. So all of the energy that we eat comes from the sun directly to the plants via photosynthesis. If you eat meat, you're not eating the purest form of energy, because cows eat grass, which contains the energy, and then that energy stores in their body, and then we can eat it, but it requires a process for us to get at that. Now, plants are, although a gross form of energy, are the most pure form of energy that can be ingested into us. So you need physical food, you need physical energy, and you need spiritual food, because you have a body and you have a spirit. Okay? So if you do not know how to get spiritual food, and if you do not know how to get physical food, then, as we've looked at previous models, your energy centers, the vibrations in your body, will be lower. You will have lower vibrations. Your energy will be at a lower center of energy. Okay, so the reason a person is stuck there is because of ignorance. All of the ills, all of the evils, all of the harm in this world is a result of ignorance. Now, if I go into a room and there are no lights on in this room, I cannot see, I cannot know anything that is inside of this room. So ignorance is darkness. Okay? Ignorance is darkness. All of the ills in this life are perpetuated by ignorance, by darkness. So if you think, okay, because there is a visible light field and then there is a non-visible light field, which is much greater than the visible light field. If you think that we, in this light field, we're not the only beings of light in this light field. There's tons of beings within this field, the visible light field. But if you think we're the only beings in the energy field outside of the visible spectrum of energy, think again. Think again, brother. You have a non-visible field of energy that exists before the visible light spectrum, and then you have a non-visible field of energy that exists after the visible light spectrum. So when kids are born, when a child is born, they are so pure. they are so pure because their bodies have not been contaminated with ignorance. They are bundles of joy. They are bundles of light. Their spirits are so great. Their spirits are so pure because they haven't been contaminated with ignorance. Now, darkness begets darkness, and lightness begets lightness. That is the law of attraction. That is it right there. Light attracts more light. Darkness attracts more darkness. So, beings, okay, from other fields of light, beings in darkness, they want to get out of darkness. And since we exist in the visible light spectrum, they want to go into the light. They're non-visible beings. They don't have physical bodies. They want to go into your bodies so they can exist in the field of light. Beings on the other end of the spectrum, in the non-visible spectrum of light, greater, vibrating at a higher rapidity than the visible light field, want to help us in this field get into that field. They want to help us. They want to help us. So with the law of attraction, you think manifest, 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 manifest. Well, if you're not being light, you won't attract light. And if you are being light and something brings you something, or you are brought something, those beings are bringing those things to you. They're helping you attain those things. Okay? So, darkness. Okay? So, now, we are a high form of animal. Now, we are an animal, but we are probably the highest form of visible being that we can be. Okay, so we're the greatest in the visible field of all the beings. Because we have a choice. Okay, animals lower than us eat other animals or are eaten by other animals. Okay, we have a choice. We do not need to kill another living being. Okay, because we're all beings of light, right? So we are animals. And so being an animal, I mean, turn on the news. You'll see a bunch of animals. But we have a choice. We have a choice to graduate into greater degrees of lightness or descend into lower degrees of darkness via ignorance. Okay? So the most sacred act that a human can do with the knowledge that the human has is coitus. Coitus is the most sacred act because it is the act of two people literally becoming one person. Okay? They're literally they're creating one person from two fleshes, and they're literally calling a being into light and giving it a body. Okay? So, having said that, that's why consummating the marriage, that's why marriage was so important 100 years ago. And that's why consummating the marriage was so important, because it wasn't really necessarily about the marriage, it was the consummation of the marriage. Now, when you have sexual intercourse with another person, that is the most sacred act that you can do with another person. So you are literally giving all of the ignorance that is in you and all of the light that is in you to another person, and they are giving that to you also. So it's really important to take special care with who you engage in sexual intercourse with, because that person, if they have more darkness than light than you, if they have more darkness in themselves than you, than your light, their darkness can cover up your light. Okay? So it's really important that you let your light shine. That's the whole purpose of this life, is to let your light shine, because when this body expires, the degree of lightness that you use to expose the darkness is what will be carried with you on to the next form that your light takes. So, beings in the non-visible field of darkness, less than the visible spectrum of light, exist in darkness. And darkness is pure ignorance. And they want to come into the light. Okay? They don't have bodies, they want to get into a body. So, this is another reason why who you choose to have sex with is so important. It's so important to take special care and consideration with this, because sexual abuse is probably the most highest form of darkness that can exist on this planet, in this realm. Because if coitus is the most sacred act, and abuse and perversion of that act is the highest form of darkness. So darkness begets darkness. So non-visible beings in the field of darkness can be spawned through those types of acts. Those are really sad situations and sad acts. So if you engage in some type of arrangement with another person, and that's what they've been exposed to, it's possible they could spread that to you. And that's the darkness that's covering up your light. So it's really important to take care on that level. Also, every compulsive behavior within a person is darkness. It's the result of darkness. If you try to change the compulsive behavior without increasing your own light, you won't have a lot of success in doing that. You need to have light illuminate the darkness so it can be seen for what it is and then eradicate it. This is all it is, guys. This is all it is. Beings of light, beings of visible light. Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. Okay. I hope that worked.